What's up everyone, COBBQ here, and today is Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to be eating wings, just like everyone else. 1.5 billion wings get eaten today. I did my wings 4 different styles. One, I wouldn't recommend. It was a TikTok recipe that really just fell flat. However, the other 3 were absolutely delicious, and I recommend giving each of them a try, leaving me a comment on which one is your favorite. However, for Super Bowl Sunday, we want something easy and something that's not going to smell up your entire house like cooking oil. So for that reason, there's one that stands above the rest. And it's super easy. It takes about 45 minutes. You're gonna steam it and then air fry those wings. Gives it a really tender inside and a crispy outside. And for at-home wings, they're pretty darn delicious. So without further ado, let's get into this. All right, let's get started. So we're gonna open up our wings. And for each of my recipes, I used 4 wings. I tried to use 2 drums and 2 flats. I'll be referring to which recipe I'm working on as they're listed in the comments below. This recipe is our third. We take the wings, go ahead and add them to a basket so they're not touching the water, and then throw them in a pressure pot. We cook them for 15 minutes. This allows the wing to cook fully, and all we have to do is finish them off. Once they're done, add them to a baking sheet or a cooling sheet and throw them in the fridge for 2 hours. This is one of the reasons that this is not my top pick. It takes a long time, and when we use the oil at the end, it smells up your house. For our first recipe, we're going to add our chicken wings to some paper towels and pat dry them. Make sure you get most of the moisture off the skin. Then we're going to add our dry ingredients. We add smoked garlic powder. This is homemade, so again, make sure you follow me so I can teach you how to do some other recipes. Smoked paprika, and a little bit of salt. With the smoked paprika and smoked garlic, it gives these wings a lot of flavor. These are delicious, but super fancy. Go ahead and toss your wings into the bowl and make sure they get an even coat. Once coated, I like to add just a little bit more paprika, just in case. For our second recipe, this is the TikTok recipe that I don't recommend. Add salt, a little bit of baking soda, and garlic powder. We're using the same smoked garlic powder for all the recipes to make sure we get a similar flavor for each. Once these are fully coated, we are going to add some olive oil. We throw this onto a pan. I make sure and put some parchment paper below our rack, that way it's an easier cleanup. Space out your wings so they have enough airflow, and these are going to go into a 450 degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes. Time for my favorite recipe. This is the 4th recipe. For our dry ingredients, we want any type of flour. I use all-purpose, a little bit of baking powder, and some black pepper. We also add that smoked garlic powder to keep it consistent. After you throw your wings in, give them a proper coating, let those sit for about 5 minutes. Add those wings to a pan with parchment paper below. We're going to add water to this pan, and that's what's going to cook these wings. We're actually steaming them. Make sure that the water doesn't reach the wings, but give an even coat. underneath. I like to use another sheet of parchment paper on the top, so that way the wings don't stick to the tin foil. Cover this pan with some tin foil and make sure you get a tight seal around the edges. We're going to toss this in the oven at 325 degrees for 30 minutes. Back to recipe number 1, we're going to add those wings to some hot oil and give them a quick sear. Once you have a sear all the way around, go ahead and add some butter. Let that butter sizzle and foam up. Coat the wings entirely with the butter and then just leave it on the heat until it reaches a foamy consistency. Once you're at this point, we're going to go ahead and throw that in the oven at 375 degrees for 15 minutes. Back to recipe number 4, go ahead and take the tin foil off. You can see that it's steamed very well and these wings are technically cooked. But nobody wants to eat boiled chicken, so we're actually going to take an air fryer rack, lay out our wings, make sure they have enough space, and throw it back in the air fryer at 450 degrees for 15 minutes. Alright, here's our finished products. This is recipe number 1. Pan-seared fancy wings. Recipe number 2, the TikTok wings. Recipe number 4, my favorite, the steamed and air-fried wings. And a little bit out of order, number 3. Coat the wings out of the fridge with some cornstarch and fry them for about 120 seconds. To make sure that we get, again, consistent flavor, I'm going to be using the same hot sauce or wing sauce on all the wings. Go ahead and coat your wings and then plate them up. For my taste test, I went ahead and labeled a cutting board 1, 2, 3, and 4 from right to left, so that way when we did our blind taste test, I knew which wings were which. To finish the first 3 wings, I did it the same way, tossing it in buffalo sauce. But for the last, I did go ahead and add some of the pan drippings. And like I said, those were really good wings, but way too fancy for what I'm doing here today. Give these a shot and let me know which one's your favorite. Hope you enjoy.